Good morning, YouTube, and good morning, Ran Campbell. This is going to be an open letter, I guess, essentially to Ran Campbell. And you'll all have to excuse me. I don't really have time to be making this video. I felt compelled, after seeing some of the things taking place in the last week or so, and actually beyond that, but certainly in the last week, I felt compelled to make this video, and I don't really have time for any kind of editing or any second takes, so this is just going to be what it's going to be, and so you'll have to excuse that. But again, for the second time in the last while, I've really felt compelled to make a video by some things that have taken place. This time a little bit less public than the Robin Williams death and you know, the things that I'd seen there in the media. In this case, it's again a lot less public. It's just something that's taking place in this little community we call YouTube, in particular the sort of great debate community. And I felt compelled to reach out, and so this is coming from a place of compassion for Ran Campbell, and I recognize that it's probably going to have no effect, but I got to try. I've got to make an attempt. So Ran, recently, I've noticed there seems to be kind of an escalation from you of you know, right up to the point of talking about going to war and you know, hitting demons on the back of the head with sledgehammers and using swords. And I realize that this is a lot of hyperbole, but in a lot of ways this is very similar to some of the language that my own father used during some of his manic episodes. And I'm not accusing you of being bipolar or anything like that. I want to make that very clear. I'm just trying to highlight what concerns me here, this escalation. I hadn't really seen any of your YouTube work before your most recent return to YouTube, which has been, you know, it's been a lot of months now since you've returned to YouTube. But I didn't really know who you were before then. I'd seen a couple of videos, and it just seemed like, you know, here's this, you know, large, deep-voiced guy, and you know, you had a lot of bravado and a lot of character and charisma. Really, I don't think anybody'd be watching you if you didn't have a level of charisma. But again, I've seen this escalation, and in fact, I was compelled to make a response video, and I just never got around to it. When you made your video about love, and you expressed love to everybody, and you talked about knowing what love is now, and that video really touched me, and I probably should have reached out at that time. But these most recent videos where you're battling and having these, you know, sort of the pre-trial, Mockers pre-trial, and your most recent battle with Alex Botten, which I uploaded a video last night that was mostly just audio, and I mentioned it in that video. I should here as well. I will admit to not knowing the full details of what went on between you and Alex Botten. I haven't watched all those videos. Suffice to say, I think if you really feel like Alex Botten is saying or doing things that are immoral, unwarranted, you know, below the belt, etc., etc., I think really all you've got to do is point that out to the community, and if it's really true, reasonable people everywhere will see it for what it is, and will join you in your distaste. And I think the real important thing to do is to point things like that out, and then if the person continues with that, to just disengage. And you know, I only know Alex Botten so well, which is to say not very well. I would assume that he is somewhat like myself, sort of live and let live, and that he would not be mocking, and he would not be being rude and obnoxious if he didn't feel like other people were trampling on people's rights, or were spreading misinformation, and were, you know, not sort of attempting to belittle or otherwise dehumanize people, in other words, such as gays and lesbians and other people. I have a feeling he would live and let live if he didn't feel those things were the case. So I think a lot of this is, I think he feels retaliation or response. And I think a certain level of understanding of that is important in the discussion. But either way, if he is being rude and obnoxious and crossing the line, the thing to do would be to point that out so that reasonable people everywhere can make their own conclusions, and if it continues, to disengage. But to escalate it to this level, where you're laying, I think, the potential groundwork for harm here, because you of all people have a unique knowledge of the unstable and criminal elements of our society and what they can potentially do. And I think when you're painting someone as a demon and you're talking about going to war, there's a potential here for something to happen to a real human being on the other end of that. And I don't think you really want that. Hopefully you don't. I've also noticed that the escalation with Bible Thumping Wingnut in Matthew 4:19, and I have yet to watch the portion of your Get Out of God's Way hangout where you actually confront Matthew 4:19, but all the rhetoric at the beginning of that video where you're just talking to the camera and telling them that they can never, ever, ever interfere with you again. They shouldn't be telling you what to do. What you do is between you and the Father. And even other videos where you've told other people, I think you mentioned to the Fundy Archive channel, you don't tell me what to do, I tell you what to do. And on another video I saw recently, you were saying, I don't like to be told what to do. And obviously, I think that this all stems from your early abuse as a child. And I know you're going to object probably to being psychoanalyzed here. All I can say is, hey, I'm just a mechanic. But I think this is sort of abuse and trauma, abuse and consequence 101. This is such basic knowledge as to be accessible to the layperson. And I just want to say, first of all, I will start out by saying, my heart goes out to you for what you suffered as a child, the abuse and neglect that you suffered as a child. You didn't deserve that, clearly. This was so wrong as to be, I mean, it's almost ridiculous to point out how wrong it was, because it's so apparent and so obvious and so deep. And I'm not for a moment here suggesting that I can even comprehend the depths of the abuse that you suffered, because I can't. All I can do is acknowledge it and recognize that it happened to you and that it was deplorable and reprehensible and terrible. I can't for a moment imagine what it must have felt like to be so out of control, to have these monsters, these abusers doing what they did to you and have no way to control that, no way to stop it, and no allies. And obviously what I think is that all of these attempts to control in your adult life are the results of that abuse and that lack of control. And so it's obvious to me that you don't like to be told what to do. It's obvious to me that you don't want anyone meddling. And it's obvious to me that I think this is why Christianity is appealing to you, because finally you've got an ally, and he's one hell of an ally, right? He's omnipotent. He is the Alpha and Omega, right? He is the ally that nobody can go against. Nobody has the power to challenge. And so you've finally got an ally that's bigger than everyone. And yet, I think I see the little Ran Campbell coming out, because, I don't know, if I felt that I had that kind of an ally, I think I would be, I wouldn't say smug, but I'd be a lot more confident, and I wouldn't feel the need to tell anybody, hey, you don't get to challenge me. Hey, you don't get to tell me what to do. Because it would just be walking softly and carrying the biggest stick, right? It would be carrying the largest stick possible. And so walk softly, right? You don't need to tell anybody. And so I think young Ran Campbell is still desperately trying to control his environment. And I have an immense amount of compassion for the young Ran Campbell. I'm the type of person who just cannot stand to see suffering of innocent, helpless beings. I hate to see the suffering of animals. That's one of my passions in life is to try to end the suffering of innocent animals at the hands of heartless human beings. And the suffering of children, it just rocks me to my core. And I have a lot of compassion for young Ran Campbell. And I have a lot of compassion for you today, the adult Ran Campbell. And I think all of this is probably a result of the abuse that you suffered as a child. And I think deep down there's a part of you that maybe understands that this ally that you have, this omniscient, omnipotent creator of everything, doesn't actually exist. And I think that that's possibly why you lash out still, even having this ally that should end the need, to lash out at people and to control your environment. Should give you that ability to walk softly and carry a big stick. And I just want to let you know that you can have real allies. You can have real, human, considerate, compassionate allies who won't turn their back on you and who will never abuse you. And it's no mystery to me that you would have misgivings and doubts about the human race, about humanity, given what happened to you and given that nobody intervened on your behalf as a child. I mean, how could you trust human beings ever? But I think it's the only real trust that you can actually have. I think it's the only real faith that you can actually have, is to find some humanity that you can actually trust, and finally find a soft place to land, a comfortable place to land. And I don't know if that's possible, and I don't know that I'm not stirring your anger here right now with this video. And I just hope that you can see the place that this is coming from. That I got up early this morning. I've got more work than I can handle in the shop today, but I specifically got up early today so that I could make this video and reach out to you on a human level and just acknowledge that what happened to you wasn't right and you didn't deserve it. And the escalation that I see recently on YouTube is concerning to me, not just for any potential outcome, of course, that could happen by riling and stirring people up and talks of being at war with swords and sledgehammers to the head and things like that, but for you. Because I don't think that kind of anger obviously is healthy, and it's indicative to me that you're still hurting. And I feel for you. I can't know the pain that you're in because I've never experienced that. But it kills me inside to know that another human being is hurting to that degree, that they have the need to lash out like an animal backed into a corner. And in your video about love, you said, I just wanted to let you all know I love you. And I want to let you know, Ran Campbell, as a fellow human being, I love you and I have compassion for you. Real compassion. I would happily talk privately about this if you like, and reach out to you. I promise you, I'm a safe space, if you tell me things in confidence, I would never tell them to anybody. If you just want to talk, I'm so here for you. I will make time. I really, honestly, right now, feel just a swelling of compassion for you. And I would love nothing more than to see the tone of the conversation taken down a little bit more. And I would love to see more videos about love and compassion from you. And, the mockers of this world, they can be dealt with. They can actually be dealt with, I think, with love and compassion, oddly enough. That's my message to you. And for what it's worth, I hope you can appreciate it from the place that it's coming from in my heart. And even if you disagree with it all and you think that I'm full of it, that you recognize that at least my intentions here are pure, and that I really am trying to reach out to a fellow human being from a place of compassion. So if you feel the need to talk or the desire to talk, please hit me up, let me know. I'm Capricious Black Box on Skype, all one word. You can send me a a private message on Google Plus if you like. Just, I hope you hear me, at least, you know, even if you never take me up on any of these offers, I hope you hear me from the place that this is coming from. For everyone else, as always, thanks for watching. I better get to work. Have a good day.